Let us start. We'll be dealing with the mechanics, in that specifically laws of motion. Right? So I have explained the Newton's laws of motion, that is three laws. One is the law of inertia, another is the amount of the force that needs to be calculated, and the third one is the action and reaction principle. So especially in the second law, what happens is, that is, the force is equal to dp by dt. So this is the force. So dp by dt, where p is the momentum. This momentum is nothing but the impact, which is equal to mass into velocity. So this is the impact that is going to be established on any other body if a particle is having mass of m and traveling with a velocity of v. Now here actually the rate of change of momentum is the force here. So rate of change of momentum is nothing but d by dt of mv. Here actually this is m into dv by dt plus v into dm by dt. So this is the product rule of the differentiation. Now here actually in most of the cases, at least 90% of the cases, whatever we are going to deal with, there the mass is usually constant. Mass is usually constant. Meaning, so m is most of the times it is constant, hence actually dm by dt will be 0. And if dm by dt is 0, then f can be expressed as m into dv by dt. So as you know that dv by dt is nothing but the rate of change of velocity is equal to acceleration, then f can be expressed as m into a. So the force is nothing but expressed as the product of mass into acceleration in case of constant mass system. Suppose actually if you take one more case, most probably there are two different kinds of scenarios you can think of. One is actually a rocket. And the second is leaky sand lorry. So these two scenarios we can give you a simple example. Suppose actually the rocket actually is traveling to the sky. Now there actually if you notice the fuel is continuously burnt. So if the fuel is continuously burnt, the mass of the entire rocket is going to be reduced, the amount how much it is going to burn out, so that much of weight is going to be reduced. So obviously if 1 liter petrol is actually burnt completely, the weight of the rocket is going to be reduced by 1 liter. So there actually as the mass is changing, so m is changing. Now here actually in this kind of scenarios, usually for simplicity purpose we keep the velocity constant for the calculations purpose. So if the velocity is constant and the mass is changing, suppose if you take one more case and the lorry is going with full of sand, there actually if there is a leakage at the bottom, so the sand is continuously leaking out, hence the mass of the lorry is continuously reduced. So if it is reduced, then obviously there is a change in the mass, and suppose as long as it is going with a constant velocity, so based on this principle if you apply, the constant velocity makes the acceleration is 0. But that doesn't mean that lorry doesn't require any force to move. It doesn't mean that. So lorry still require force to move even though the acceleration is 0. If it is maintaining the constant velocity also, it needs extra force. The reason being dm by dt is not equal to 0. So there is a rate of change of mass. So as there is a rate of change of mass, then obviously there is a force that is going to be established. So here actually in this particular principle, so if these are the scenarios, if there is a mass change, even though we have the constant velocity, so f can be expressed as m dv by dt plus v dm by dt. Now here actually this value is 0, but still f can be expressed as v into dm by dt. V into dm by dt. So this is the force in case of the mass is continuously changing. So in most of the cases actually we will be having both the changes. That is, the mass is going to be changed, at the same time the velocity is going to be changed. In such case, the force is expressed as d by dt of mv. So this is equal to m dv by dt plus vm dm by dt. So these are the principles that needs to be used in case if you want to calculate the force that is required. Now, force actually is one essential component in most of the cases, because actually as and when there is a movement that is needed, so as per Newton's laws, it states that there is a force that is required for moving any particular particle. So if the force is required, then what are the characteristics of the force that you need to understand clearly? That is, the characteristics of the force are so essentially three different characteristics of the force is there. So one is, let us say there is a block of mass, and on that actually there is a force that is going to be applied. Now here actually F is the force. So F actually is a vector. Force is a vector quantity. So force is a vector quantity, and the importance of this force, one is the magnitude of the force, and the second one is the direction of the force, and the third one is the point of application of the force. Point of application of the force. Now here actually these are the three important characteristics of any particular force. Now here actually suppose actually if I am pushing, then actually I need to be associated with three important characteristics. One is with what force I am pushing. That means the amount of the magnitude of the force will have a definite direct impact on the body where I am trying to apply my force. Suppose if I am pushing the car, then how much force I am pushing in. Suppose actually if one person pushes, then actually it won't move. Suppose if 3-4 people are actually pushing, that means the amount of the force is going to be increased, because the 4 people coming into picture and all the 4 people actually trying to apply the force, hence actually more the force is going to be applied on the car. So obviously it will try to move because the amount of the force or the magnitude of the force is increased. That is the first part. And the second thing is the direction of the force. So in which direction you are applying the force, that is in this particular case, this is the direction of the force. So if I apply the force in this direction, it will have a different impact than if I apply the force in this particular direction. So if I apply the force in the direction, let us say this is also the same magnitude of the force F, then actually it will try to move in this direction. But if I apply the force in the direction, then actually only the partial component of the force is useful and it is moving in this direction. See this? So this force is 100% useful. This force is actually only the component of the force that is useful. So the direction of the force does matter in making the movement for this particular block. So the same force, if I apply in this opposite direction, obviously it will try to move in the opposite direction. So the direction of the force will have a direct impact on the block of mass, how this block of mass has to move, right? So that is the second important factor. And the third important factor is the point of application of the force. The point of application of the force, suppose actually if this is the block of mass, and then actually if I try to apply it at the bottom of the block, then it will try to move. Suppose actually if I have a block like this, and then actually I am trying to apply the force in this particular direction at this particular point. Now actually rather than the moving the block, it will try to rotate, or actually it will try to tilt. So why? Because the point of application of the force will have a direct impact on the body. So these are the three important characteristics of the force which will have a different kind of impact depending upon the magnitude, direction, and the point of application. So these three are the essential components in force. And this force actually, now actually we are dealing with a single force. Now the complexity of the force is going to be raised whenever we are going to the higher studies. There actually the complexity of the force is going to be raised to a greater extent. How it is? See this, the same force, but see, I will give one more example. Suppose if I take this mass like this, if I leave it, then actually it is falling down here. Now suppose actually if I go to Vijayawada, and there actually if I leave this block, again actually it is going down. If I go to Vizag, and then actually if I leave it, again actually it is going down only. So wherever I am located in the entire earth, this block of mass, if I leave it, it's always going down. Now where is the force that is applied? So here actually on this block of mass, if it has to move as per Newton's laws, if this pen has to move, there has to be a force. Obviously this is expected. if this block of pen has to move, then actually there has to be a force that needs to be applied on this. Now, wherever I am going on the earth, actually, there is always a force that is throwing downwards always. Now, where exactly the point of application of this force, or where is the magnitude of the force, and where is the direction of this force? So, everywhere actually, as being this is the earth actually, so if I stand here and there is a force of attraction towards this direction, if I stand here, actually there is a force of attraction towards this direction. If I stand here, then actually there is a force of attraction towards this direction. So if I am here, then actually it will try to attract in this particular direction. In all the places, actually, it will always try to attract towards the earth. Now here, actually, the point of application is everywhere, because actually, if I stand here, there is a force downwards. If I come to this place and stand here, there is a force downwards. If I go to this place and if I leave it again, actually I have a force in this direction. That means everywhere this force is distributed. Now actually, how to quantify the point of application of this force? We cannot quantify this point of application of this force. So this kind of scenario is called as the field. So field. So this field is nothing but there are infinite lines of force. That means the lines of force is there everywhere. So that is what is nothing but the field. So the lines of force present everywhere. This scenario is called as field. So this is called as field, right? So here actually, when we are dealing with the Newton's laws, as I said, the complexities keep on increasing. Why? Because in the first level, actually, we talk about only the force magnitude. We don't talk about the direction. The next level, actually, we increase the complexity by adding the direction and the point of application. At the third level, actually, we will be dealing with the distributed forces. Distributed forces are nothing but the forces actually that are going to be applied at everywhere. So that is what we call as the field. Just a minute. Fine, right? So here actually, now there actually we deal with something called field. So this field actually there are different kinds of fields actually we are going to deal with. So that field concept is introduced at your level itself. That is, we will be dealing with the gravitational field. We will be dealing with the electric field, right? So and fluid field anyway, so it's not required for you. So that is gravitational field and electric field. These are the two different kinds of fields actually we are going to deal with. So the example of the gravitational field is, so if I leave this pen here, it will go down. If I leave this pen here, even then also it will go down. That means the force exists everywhere on this particular plane. So obviously that's what we can treat as the field. Now here actually, when we are dealing with the force, we always talk about the work. See this, suppose actually, if I apply the force in this direction, then if there is a displacement that is moving in this particular direction, let us say this is the displacement vector and this is the force vector. Now here actually the work done is nothing but force dot displacement vector. So this is F into D into cos theta. Now here actually this is the angle. Now there is a component of the force which is trying to move the block in the direction of the displacement, that is F cos theta. So F cos theta into D is the amount of the work that is going to be done in case if you are moving this block from one location to another location. Now the same concept actually, if I try to apply in case of field, let us say there is a field in this particular direction. Now on this field actually, let us say I wanted to move a block in this particular direction. See this, there is a block of mass actually I wanted to move in this particular direction. So this is how actually I wanted to move it. But actually the force are actually distributed. So this is the field. Now in this particular case, if you want to calculate the work, how to calculate? Can you try to guess it? See this actually, I have given the simple case. Suppose if there is a block of mass, if I apply the force in this direction, the angle between them is theta, then F cos theta is the force actually, and it is moving a displacement of d. Then actually we have calculated that the dot product of F into d is nothing but the work. But here actually, how to quantify this force? Now this force actually at different places actually it is going to have different value, and the direction of the movement actually is everywhere distributed. Here actually if I try to move in this particular direction, then actually it will try to push in this direction. But here actually, suppose if I'm moving against this particular direction, then actually it is trying to move in one particular direction, and the force is distributed every point. At every point actually you can see that there is a force that is applied. Now how to quantify this force and how to calculate the work in this particular case? So in this particular case, the F is expressed as a vector, variable vector. So this is expressed as a variable vector. Now if it is expressed as a variable vector, let us say this is some function of x into I plus some function of x into j plus some function of x into k. So this is how actually if it is expressed. Now I, j, k are the unit vectors in the direction of x, in the direction of y, and in the direction of z. Now there actually, if you are trying to move in this particular direction, obviously there is a change in the vector of the positional vector, and this dr is nothing but dx into I plus dy into j plus dz into k. So this is the positional change vector. Now the definition of whatever we have given for the work, dw is nothing but is always expressed as the force vector multiplied by the dr vector. So this is what is the fundamental definition for the work. Now only thing that is changing here it is the force is different in magnitude at different places. That's what is this vector represents. So all this entire combined vector will represent the force magnitude in different places at the different values. So that is how actually we expressed as a function of x, y, z. So here this is the force vector, and in the coordinate plane, here actually we are trying to move it. Then actually here this is the dr, which is the positional vector change. As I said earlier, let us say this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, and this is the z-axis. Now there is a position vector here, and there is one more position vector here. Now when you are moving from this location to this location, so this is r1 and this is r2. r12 is nothing but r2 minus r1. So this value actually we expressed as dr vector. So that is the positional change vector. Now the dot product will still remain. So f dot dr is equal to dw, which is nothing but the elemental work done. Now if you integrate this one, so integral f dot dr, so this is the work done. So this concept will hold good. So here what I am trying to say here it is, whenever we are dealing with the fundamental concepts, the concepts will still hold whatever may be the level of complexity we go. So it still be exactly the same thing. So it still be exactly the same concept. So whenever we are doing the work, if there is a force and if there is a displacement, the product of those two with a dot is nothing but the work. Now here actually the force is still be there, but it is a variable force. And the displacement that is going to be done, so this is again actually which is expressed in terms of the positional vector change. So that is dr. So f dot dr is exactly the same thing. So the concept actually is nowhere different. So it's exactly the same thing what we are doing it. So here actually the force and the displacement will, the dot product will give the work for us. So now this force actually, suppose I will give you one more example. See this, F is expressed as mass into acceleration. So F is expressed as mass into acceleration, assuming the constant mass. Assuming this is the constant mass. Now here actually mass into acceleration. I take one simple case. Suppose actually if I'm on the lift. So lift actually, when we switch on the lift, once we go, then actually lift is, let us say it is going down. So it is going down with an acceleration of A, right? The lift is going down with an acceleration of A. Now I am standing in the lift and then I am having a mass of M. Obviously the M into G, which is the weight of me, is going to be acting downwards. And the lift is also going downwards. Now the normal reaction, which is going to be applied exactly opposite to this one. This is the normal reaction. So you need to understand what is the normal reaction. See, there are actually some standard forces. So standard forces which needs to be considered always. So those forces are, one is the normal reaction, and the second one is the frictional force. So these are the two important standard forces that needs to be considered always. Now what do you mean by this normal reaction is, suppose actually if there is a plane like this, on this plane if I keep one block of mass, obviously this is going to be associated with its weight. Now why this weight is coming into picture is, as I said earlier, there is a mass of this block of magnitude M and there is an acceleration due to gravity. So the gravity is always acting on this. So it will always try to drag. So because of that way of dragging downwards, we have associated with certain weight. Otherwise, actually, we wouldn't be having any weight at all. So mass is different, weight is different. Mass is actually having some content. So suppose actually if I take this block is built with certain particles. So all these particles together will make certain mass. So this is just a distribution of certain particles, which is nothing but the mass. But this mass needs to be associated with the weight. The reason being, we are standing on the ground. So suppose if you are not on the ground, if you are somewhere on the space, then actually there won't be any weight of this particle at all. That's why actually whenever you see in movies, right? So when we go to the space, actually they used to fly. They don't stand at one place because there is no weight for them. So that is weightlessness is going to be there. The reason being, if at all there is a force of attraction, if at all there is a force that is going to be associated with this block of mass, then only we will be associated with the weight. So that's exactly the reason when we stand on the earth versus when we stand on the moon, the weight will be different completely altogether. Why? Because here actually there is an acceleration due to gravity. So the acceleration due to gravity, that is based on the Newton's principle. If there is a mass like this and there is one more mass like this, these two masses actually will always be attracted each other. So if at all there are two masses, there will be a force of attraction between them always. So let us say this is the mass of the earth. So this is the mass of the person, let us say. Now this force is directly proportional to the mass here and the person's here and inversely proportional to the square of the distance. Now this is replaced with the constant G. The proportionality is replaced with the constant G, which is called as the gravitational constant. So universal gravitational constant. Now here actually, so this M is now actually if you make as the variable, meaning if you are standing on the earth will be associated with certain mass. Suppose if I am standing on the moon, then actually moon is having certain mass. Obviously, this F is going to be changed. Suppose if I am standing on the Mars, then actually on the Mars, mass is going to be changed. So obviously, the bigger in the size, obviously it is going to have the more M value. Hence, the force of attraction on the same man is going to be increased on the Mars. So in the Earth, actually, you are having certain value of the attractive force. On the moon, actually, the attractive force is going to be reduced because the mass of the moon or the size of the moon is less. The Mars actually is bigger than the Earth. Obviously, there the mass of the Mars is more. Hence, actually, the force of attraction on the same person on the Mars is more. Hence, actually, he feels more weight. So, he feels more weight on the Mars, medium weight on the Earth, and least weight in case of the moon. So here actually the reason being this force of attraction. This force of attraction between the earth and the particle, we have given a separate name called weight. So the force is nothing but the weight. Force and weight are one and the same. The force is the master word that needs to be used everywhere. Out of that, weight is actually force due to the earth. That means force and weight actually needs to be treated with the same dimensions. Force and weight are one and the same. Force due to the earth is called the weight, and force, if you are applying, then actually you are treating that as the force. So, but these two are actually one and the same always, but this is due to the earth. Now here actually this weight is always be there because of the Newton's law of gravitation. If at all there is a mass, that mass is going to be attracted by the earth. So here actually the mass of this block is going to be attracted by the earth. Hence actually there is a weight that is going to be associated, and the weight is going to be mass into acceleration. That acceleration on the earth is going to be of g. Hence actually this is mg. So mg is the force that is going to be attracted always. Now as per Newton's third law, if at all a body has to be under equilibrium, there has to be a counter force that needs to be applied. That means supposedly if I am holding this pen like this, so there is a weight that is associated with this weight mass always towards in the downward direction. Now with my hand, if I try to apply the force in the upward direction, which is exactly equal to the weight of this pen, then actually I will be able to hold this pen at this particular position. If the weight of this pen is more, then my hand will go down like this. If I apply more force than this weight, then actually it will try to move upwards. So if both are equal, it will stay as it is. If the weight of the pen is more, then it will go down. If I apply a force which is greater than the weight, then actually it will go upwards. So depending upon the weight, so it is going to apply. Now here actually, this is the table, let us say. On this table, there is a block of mass and it is standing there. But there is an always associated weight to that particular block of mass. So if it has to stand, there has to be a counter force. Otherwise, actually, it will move down. So as per Newton's law, if there is a force, there is a moment, obviously. So otherwise, if there is a force, there has to be a counter force also, so that actually it will stay there. So this condition of having the force and the counter force, which is of equal in magnitude, this is what is called as the equilibrium. So this is the equilibrium. So if there is a weight that is acting, there will be a counter force that is going to be applied by this table on this block. So this block is applying force on the table. This table is applying the force on the block, and both are equal. Hence, this is staying here. So the mg, which is the weight, is exactly equal to the reaction. So which is nothing but the counter action by this table on the block. So this is what is called as the reaction. Now this reaction is always termed as the normal reaction. Why we call this as the normal reaction is, normal meaning the perpendicular. Normal meaning perpendicular. So here actually the perpendicular meaning here, whenever there is a, see this, suppose actually there is a surface like this. So on this surface actually there is a rod that I am putting it in this manner. Now here actually this is the rod. Now if you notice at this particular stage, this is the surface. Now what is the direction of the normal reaction on this rod by this particular surface? See this, it is touching at this particular point. Now it is touching at this particular point also. Now what is the direction of the normal reaction in this particular case? So here actually the direction of the normal reaction is always perpendicular to the surface. See this is the surface. On this surface there is a normal direction, that is the perpendicular directional force is going to be there here. Now here actually this is being the surface, the tangent to this particular surface is actually going in this manner. On this tangent actually if you draw a perpendicular, this is the direction of the normal reaction. So normal reaction is nothing but always perpendicular to the surface. So that is very important to understand. Always perpendicular to the surface. always perpendicular to the surface. So as it is perpendicular to the surface, hence actually this is called as the normal reaction. Here actually, see this is the point of contact. At this particular stage, this is the direction of the normal reaction. So normal reaction direction you can easily guess based on the surface. So the surface, if it is horizontal, the vertical way is the normal reaction. So this is nothing but reaction is also a force, but which is exactly perpendicular to the surface and is the counter force developed by that body. So that is the normal reaction. So R is equal to mg. So this is always exists as and when we have a block of mass which is standing on a table. Now we take one more case. That is the friction. The second case is the friction. So friction actually, whenever there is a relative movement, whenever there is a relative motion between two masses, between two surfaces, then the friction exists. Then the friction exists, obviously, right? Suppose, see this, I take one simple example. Suppose this is ground. On this ground, let us say there is a car. So this car actually, now actually I wanted to push. So I am applying force on this. Now, if I apply very small force, obviously this will not move. So if I apply very small force on the car, I will not be able to move the car because the car actually is having definite associated frictional force whenever it has to move. So that is, there is a counter force that is going to be developed by this car on the ground, which is exactly opposite to my movement. As I keep on increase the force, that is, if I try to draw the graph, then here actually I am increasing my force. This is actually force applied by me. So this is the force applied by me, and this is the frictional force developed. So if I take in the vertical direction the frictional force developed by the car against me, then if I apply zero force, then there won't be a frictional force because actually I have not applied any force. Obviously there won't be any friction. So due to this weight, actually it will try to stay as it is. Suppose if I apply force on this particular block, obviously, so I am not able to move the car, but still I am applying the force. And then actually I started keep on applying the force and raising the force again and again. Now what it will do, if I try to raise my force, it will try to raise the frictional force as well. Now apply more force, it will apply more counter force. Again actually I will increase my force. Again the car will increase its frictional force so that it won't move. So at one stage actually we both actually are fighting each other, and finally at one stage what happens is I have applied more force than what car is developing the frictional force. That time actually it will start move. So it will start moving from this particular location. See this, I have applied the force. To some extent actually it could able to withstand it. Then I have still further raised my force. Then actually at one stage, so this is the force actually, at one stage it started moving. Now you yourself will feel that when we are pushing the car, there actually before the car starts moving, you are applying more force. Once the car starts, automatically you feel easy to move. So that means the frictional force that is going to be developed by the car is going to be reduced once it starts moving. Then actually it will continue to apply certain force of the friction for the movement due to the relative motion between the road and the car. So this frictional force, when the car starts moving, so that is the first time when the car starts moving, this frictional force is the maximum possible frictional force that it could able to develop. And this is when, that is the static frictional force, because that is the time actually, till that time it was staying as it is without having any moment. So hence actually this frictional force is called as the static friction. So this is called as the static friction. See this, again friction is nothing but a force. So this is what is the static frictional force. Once the car starts moving, you will not feel that much of friction. So this friction is going to be reduced. Hence, actually, this is called as the dynamic friction. Static friction and the dynamic friction. So here actually static friction is more and the dynamic friction is less. And then actually if you still further apply, then actually see this, when we are pushing, 4 people started moving the car. Then actually initially the car will not move. Then once it starts moving, then actually automatically it moves fast because there is a force difference between these two. So this difference of the force, that is the static frictional force minus the dynamic frictional force, this is actually useful in moving, in accelerating the car. So this is useful in accelerating the car. So this itself is nothing but mass into acceleration, where A is the acceleration of the car. So with what acceleration it will move? So it is the difference of the static friction and the dynamic friction, because still only 4 people are moving and then actually it is keep on raising its acceleration. So that is Fs minus Fd is equal to ma. So based on this actually we can say that the car is moving with an acceleration of a if the mass of the car is m. So this is the mass of the car. So these are the 2 important forces, that is the frictional force and the reactional force. These 2 are essentially needs to be considered and it exists always in the universe, right? Now coming back to our original case of the lift, here actually in this particular lift, if we are standing here and there is a mass that is going to be associated by the body, hence there is a weight that is going to be acting downwards. Now the acceleration direction and the weight directions are one and the same, but the reaction is actually in the counter direction. Reaction. Now here actually you need to be writing the force balance equation. So here actually whenever there is a block of mass which is moving, here in this particular case lift is moving in the downward direction, you write ma is nothing but the acceleration in that particular direction and multiplied by the mass is going to give the force in that particular direction. That is going to be equal to the aiding force for this acceleration is mg and the opposing force for this one is the normal reaction. So that is minus r. So ma is equal to mg minus r, where r is the normal reaction. Hence actually this is going to be r is equal to m into g minus a. See this, the normal reaction whatever we have calculated is coming out to be m times of g minus a. So here actually g minus a, g is the acceleration due to gravity and a is the acceleration of the lift. Now here actually we can conclude important things. That is, if the acceleration is less than the g value, that is the usual case. Whenever we go in the lift, actually the acceleration is actually very small. It won't be of 10 meters per second square. So acceleration due to gravity is g and the acceleration with which the lift is moving is very small. Hence actually we feel comfortable. Otherwise actually what happens is, suppose if you are moving with an acceleration which is equal to the acceleration due to gravity, then the reaction is going to be of 0. So if g is equal to a, then the reaction is 0. If the reaction is 0, that essentially means that we feel that actually we are standing in the air. So the lift actually keeps on moves actually without we standing on the lift. So we'll just actually moving along with the lift, but actually almost we feel like actually we are floating on the air. So that is how actually we get the feeling. So we feel that actually we are falling down if the acceleration is more. Actually lift is going fast. Now actually we take one more case. Suppose actually if you are trying to move the lift with an acceleration which is greater than g, let us say. So if you are able to move with an acceleration which is greater than g, then g minus a value is going to be of negative value, which means that you are standing there and lift will go down immediately and it will hit your head. So lift actually will hit your head, so before even going through the lift. So that means actually lift will hit you in case a value is greater than g. So if the a value is less than g, you feel that actually you are comfortable. If a value is equal to g, you feel that actually you are floating, but still actually you go along with the lift. If a value is greater than g, obviously you feel that actually, so you yourself will hit by the lift on the top of your head. So that's why whenever we design the lift, there actually we make sure that this A value is far greater than G. So that's why actually if you notice when we are going on the lift, we don't go too fast like you go in the car. So lift will go always slow. Why? Because otherwise it will hit your head. So that's why actually the lifts are designed to travel with smaller velocities. Got it? So this is A is far lesser than G. Now this time actually if you notice, whenever we are moving downwards in the earth, so whenever we are moving downwards in the lift, so that time actually you feel that actually you are weightless, or actually your weight is actually you feel that it is very less whenever the lift is going downwards. The reason being, the normal reaction experienced by you is going to be of m times of G minus A. So m times of G minus A value is the lesser value than mg. So mg is your weight, and m times of G minus A is the value which is nothing but the weight of you, whatever you feel. So that is R is nothing but the m times of G minus A, which is a lesser value than mg, obviously. So here actually you feel that a little bit lesser weight depending upon the acceleration of the lift. So if you weigh it, then actually it is going to be of lesser value, it will show in the lift. Suppose if the lift is moving upwards, then that time what is happening is, this is the lift and this is the man. Now here mg is acting downwards and the lift is going upwards with an acceleration of A, and the normal reaction is R, which is in the upward direction. This is the normal reaction. Now here actually the force MA is equal to aiding force normal reaction minus opposing force weight. Now here actually R is equal to m times of A plus G. So in this particular case, as the lift is moving upwards, your weight is acting downwards, so you need some extra normal reaction to compensate. Obviously, you feel more weight. You feel more weight when the lift is going upwards. That is why actually whenever you hold some kind of bag with your hand, and then if you are moving upwards in the lift, actually you yourself will feel that actually the bag is weighing overweight. So if the lift is going down, actually you feel that the weight is less for the bag. If the lift is going upwards, then you feel that the bag is weighing more. So the reason being, the normal reaction that is going to be developed on you is going to be changed depending upon the direction of the lift or depending upon the acceleration of the lift. Got it? So this is how actually we will be making use of this Newton's laws to calculate the forces and the impact. Got it? Any questions on this? Right? So with this actually I would like to stop the class for today. In the next class actually I'll be dealing with the angle of banking. So angle of banking. Got it? Yeah. So that's all for today. Yeah, thank you.